Hi guys, how are you doing? It's good to be with you again this week, coming at you directly from Phnom Penh, Cambodia. Here we are in the second week of our course, and I'm glad to have a few moments to chat with you guys. I thought maybe I should introduce myself a little bit. Now, fair disclosure, Brenda knows me a little bit because she was a part of the church that I pastored in Cambridge, Ontario for a period of time. I was there for 20 years in Cambridge, 10 years before that in Sudbury. And my wife and Eileen and I are from Quebec originally. We came to go to Bible school and prepare for a life of ministry. And who knew that after 30 years of pastoring and 5 kids and 14 grandkids, we'd find ourselves on the mission field where we've been now for 11 years. And we are having the time of our lives. It seems to me many times I think about it that all the pastoring was preparation for this. But it's been a great ride, and we love what we do. Eileen is in another town, Siem Reap, right now, being part of a medical mission, while I am in week 2 of teaching church history to people for whom it is a completely foreign topic. How do you make European church history meaningful to people for whom the church really has only existed for the last 50 years? That's a whole other discussion that we won't get into today. But as you're digging into this week's readings, you may do a double take. Is this deja vu, David? I mean, didn't we talk worldviews last week? How come it seems to me we're talking about them again this week? Isn't this just the same old? But no, this week is about social imaginaries and not worldview. But David, isn't one just a synonym for the other? Well, watch out. Be careful. I know on first glance, a first glance reading of Charles Taylor's work, it might seem that way. It might seem like social imaginary and worldview don't appear to be all that different. But Taylor says that he's thinking of something deeper than a cognitive lens or a frame of mind by which we perceive the world. Listen to what he says in A Secular Age. What I'm trying to get at with this term is something much broader and deeper than the intellectual schemes people may entertain when they think about social reality in a disengaged way. I'm thinking rather of the ways in which they imagine their social existence, how they fit together with others, how things go on between them and their fellows, the expectations which are normally met, and the deeper normative notions and images which underlie these expectations. So Taylor, it seems to me, is really aiming for the heart, for that conglomeration of effective, emotive, motivational stew that underlies how we think and how we process information, how we make decisions. And he's talking about something more than just a series of propositions that frame the way we view the world. You know, I haven't been in a majority world country for something like 20 years. And I kind of forgot how everything is different here. Like driving. You know, they mostly have the same laws as we do. You know, there's lines on the road, and there's, lights. You know, green means go and red means stop. And you'd think that it would be something like the world we come from. But I go to school each day in a tuk-tuk, which is a sort of a 3-wheeled open scooter kind of a machine with a roof. And I got to tell you, it's a harrowing experience driving. There are no laws on the road. Just a rhythmic, intuitive dance. How these vehicles get around each other, how they move. It's amazing. We weave our way, passing others and cutting others off by virtual millimeters. It's kind of a Zen sort of a thing. You might almost do it blindfolded. Well, that's a bit like the distinction between worldview and social imaginary as Jamie Smith sees it. Worldview is more like the laws that dictate our behavior on the road, but social imaginary is more like the dance and knowing when to cut and when to curve and when to. In his book, Desiring the Kingdom, Smith claims that worldview thinking is mostly propositional, mostly the set of intellectual assumptions by which we operate. And as far as Christianity is concerned, Smith thinks that leaves something wanting. Listen to what he says. Such construals of worldview belie an understanding of Christianity or of the Christian faith that is dualistic and thus reductionistic. It reduces Christian faith primarily to a set of ideas, principles, claims, and propositions that are known and believed. The goal of all this is correct thinking. Now just keep that in the back of your head. Correct thinking. But this makes it sound as if we are essentially the sorts of things that Descartes described us to be, thinking things that are containers for ideas. Now, what if that is actually only a small part of who we are? What if that's not even the most important part? In the rationalistic picture, we are not only reduced to primarily thinking things, we are also seen as things whose bodies are non-essential and rather regrettable containers for our minds. But isn't Christian being more than just an intellectual turn of the mind, however profound and all-consuming that might be? Isn't being a Christian something more than a series of propositions that we just believe? But hold on. Maybe it's Smith who's being reductionist here. Maybe Smith is the one who's got it wrong. Because last week when we read Brian Walsh and Middleton in Transforming Vision, they gave a couple of stories that cut way deeper than propositions. Remember Anthony, the exchange student whose family felt betrayed by his actions after becoming a Christian? Or the Canadian Aboriginal who said about the land, to us, it is just like a mother that brought her children up. That's how we feel about this country. See, there it is. Effective. That's how we feel about this country. Now, that's deeper than propositions. But then he went on, though. He said, that's how serious it is that we think about the land around here. You see, the turn to the cognitive. So, do Walsh and Middleton just have a broader view of worldview than Smith? Is that what it's about? Or is it hard to draw a thick line between the cognitive and the affective? Be that as it may, Taylor's social imaginary makes a claim to be an essential part of the conversation when we're talking about global ministry and cultural paradigms and the possibility of true communication. one with another. And yet, what to make of this distinction between worldview and social imaginary? I think it's going to come up over and over again in this course. Disengaged intellectual schemes, as Taylor puts it, aren't enough. Because while correct thinking is keenly important, right loving is even more fundamental. It's really prior. And so listen to Jamie Smith again. Being a disciple of Jesus is primarily a matter of getting the right ideas. Let me try that again. Being a disciple of Jesus is not primarily a matter of getting the right ideas and doctrines and beliefs into your head in order to guarantee proper behavior. Rather, it's a matter of being the kind of person who loves rightly. Oh, I like that. At its heart, at its core, being a Christian is about the kind of person we are, who loves God and neighbor and is oriented to the world by the primacy of that love. We are made to be such people by our immersion in the material practices of Christian worship. And that's a key theme that he develops throughout that book, Desiring the Kingdom. How worship frames the inner self, how it shapes our way of perceiving and existing and being. So what's the punchline? You gotta learn to dance. That's how you enjoy the crazy traffic of this life. Well, I'm interested in hearing what you guys are thinking. God bless you.